Man, you know what? Indie games, indie consoles, and the indie scene in general in retro and even modern is pretty great. What's going on, everyone? It's Rich Haywood here for Bacon Ice Cream Productions and Team RTFC, welcoming you to yet another episode of Retro Rich's Random Ramblings. That's right. It's the show where, hey, I've got an idea. It's not necessarily a news line. I just want to talk about some stuff. So here we are, right? There we go. Retro Random Ramblings happening right now. And the, I guess, theme or thesis of today's rambling is the indie console scene is pretty great. And what do I mean about that? I mean, like, quite literally everything about all of the, let's call them indie consoles. We're talking Evercade, we're talking Atari VCS, we're talking, yes, about like other things, even like this thing, even this thing right here. If I can actually like unplug it and not pull things off my shelf. Even this thing right here, this Ouya in my hand, like it's still actually years later chugging along. There's a vibrant community for that. I mean, and even, yes, some other things that had happened. You got the Intellivision community is no longer Intellivision. It's just Amico, whatever. Even that, right, has got a good scene about it. And what do I mean by scene? It's like the people that are involved with creating the games are pretty awesome people. I've got a specific example that prompted this entire video on the Atari VCS side. I want to talk about that first. So Colin from Meccan Games, right? I did a video on Meccan's multi-ball and, had some stuff for him. And, like, hey, I was like, hey, your game's awesome. I like playing it. It's a pretty good time. There's some things that will hold it back for like getting like super high scores or whatever. Not that I really score my fun for 5 first impressions, but I kind of give everyone like a little bit of a lean. Like, this is how I'm feeling about this game. And you can tell by watching that video, like if I'm having a really good time, if I'm having an okay time, or if I'm searching for the fun on something, or if I'm like, all right, maybe this isn't for me, right? But I love pinball games. I love trying them out. It's the first kind of like exclusive pinball game that Atari VCS owners have had. But let me just get to the point. I do the video and I say in the video, hey, Colin, if you're watching, like, here's some, pointers and whatever, right? And I just want to show this to you guys. Colin responds, hey, man, yes, I was watching the video. First of all, thanks for the video. Sorry for some buggy sides. No problems at all, right? It happens. It's independent development. It's kind of like, like par for the course. Things are going to happen. Sometimes there's going to be some things that are like a little rougher around the edges, but I like it. It's like in the, like the music scenes in the 90s, right? Like, not everything sounded amazing, but like, grunge and like the alternative rock or whatever, but you kind of felt it, right? It was like a cool kind of feeling thing. I think that's this, the whole like independent gaming sphere. I just, it's just something that strikes me about like, it's nostalgic and new at the same time, if that makes any sense. But anyway, he's like, let's address some of the things that happened in the video, like while I was experiencing it. He said leaderboards. It should move up and down with the left stick. The UI's icon was wrong, and somehow I managed to make an error in a simple thing. Trying to edit there. He put a smiley face in there. Again, I mean, whatever. It happens, right? He said it's already fixed in an update that's in QA on his side, which is great. He's already working on some stuff. All tables were sharing the same high score leaderboards, and now he separated them. So that's a different thing. That was another thing that I was going to ask about the game. And each table will now have its own high scores in the update, which is awesome. He said scoring was unbalanced. The princess table was giving too much, was much more scores. In an update, I reduced it and made the multiplied that of the other two tables. So maybe like scoring will be a little bit more level across the tables now, which is also kind of cool. So that even though they feel different, even though the tables will feel different, they will score similarly. I guess maybe that then just lends to skill, but that's pretty cool. He says about controls. Turned out for some users, the Atari Modern controller causes input lag. I've tried to fix it in an update, but even when it doesn't do the trick, I've been reported that the Xbox controllers, the wired ones, are doing a much better job. He said, I totally forgot to add save camera preference. We'll add that in the next update for sure. This update, unfortunately, went without it. So again, there's already an update for a game that just came out last week. He's already working on stuff. Now, Con and Meccan Games has been pretty legendary for that. Like, put out a game, immediate updates, immediate support, even extended support, like months later coming out with stuff. The best example of this is, of course, Doodle Taxi, where Con comes in with an entire new, like, massive map and just drops it in as an update for free for every user for playing his game. And that's awesome. It's really cool. So anyway, table designs, I'll adjust the princess table a little bit to be a little more or less annoying. I was having some trouble. That's me. That's a me thing. It's a personal preference kind of thing, but I appreciate the fact that little yellow thing might move a little bit. So you can't just keep nailing it over and over again. And apparently on National Pinball Day, I'll release an update with 2 more tables. That's all I want to say for now. Again, thanks, my friend. I hope it'll be even better by time, which is awesome. But this is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. The developers of these games don't have to do any of this. They don't. They could just put their product out and people play it. And if it's good, it's good. And it's not good, it's not good. And it's whatever. It is what it is. They go on to the next day, the next game. Sometimes you get an update, sometimes you don't. A lot of these devs here, Orange Pixel, for example, also puts out updates and stuff like that. It has great feedback on their games. The guys from Pedra, I can't remember the name of the dev for the life of me, but the Pedra guys also have receive a lot of feedback. They keep putting stuff up. They keep coming back, which is really cool. And many others. The point is this, especially in the Atari VCS sector, there's a really awesome community of gamers that play on this console, and they have devs that are just putting out stuff consistently, getting feedback from the community, coming back and working on it together, which is awesome. I've never had that feeling at all, period, on any of the major systems. No Xbox, no PlayStation, no Nintendo, none of that stuff. And that's kind of the reason why I love playing on the Atari VCS. It's kind of the reason why I was really excited about things like Amico, because it's the same kind of thing. Like even though it's nascent and Amico Home's like really insular and not a lot of people play that, I still get that same kind of feeling like, hey, I play this game and it's being worked on by a really small number of people. And then I give feedback, and then sometimes the feedback winds up in the game. Sometimes it doesn't, but like more improvements come out, and then I anticipate each release and like that kind of thing. I like the cadence too, going back onto the Atari VCS side. I really enjoy the cadence of game releases. We're not getting the fire hose. We're not inundated by 4,000, like just deluge of games. You're never going to find them all. It's like once a week, almost to the day, almost every Friday. And if not once a week, it's once every 2 or something like that. That's an awesome cadence. Now, a lot of people might not think that way. They might think, oh, we need more games because, I don't know, Atari's not paying enough attention to the audience or whatever. But to me, I think it's perfect because I'm able to play every single one of these releases. And if it wasn't for that cadence, if the cadence went a little faster, or maybe it even a little slower because I'd forget to check, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing now. But it's just because it's so steady, and these games are coming out at just the kind of right price point, anywhere from like $4.99 or even less sometimes, on those ROM releases for the 2600, get them for $1. Like, come on, guys. So anyway, so let's say anywhere from $1 all the way to like $30, $40, $50. I don't think we've had a $50 release necessarily outside of Atari 50 on the Atari VCS. But of course, there was the $10 discount because of the delay or whatever, the thing that happened with Atari and the VCS, whatever. We all wound up getting like a $10 discount for the first week if you bought it on VCS, which was awesome. But that's another thing. Even the big umbrella companies still like kind of saying, hey, we're supporting this. We're doing things for the community. They might not be big, grand gestures. Like, for example, a lot of people may or may not be talking about the fact that today Atari 50, like Enhanced Edition, got announced. There's going to be all sorts of new games that are going to be put in there because of the purchases from Intellivision, Network, Stern. All of those kind of things are going to be put into a new Atari 50 collection. Now, I don't know whether or not existing Atari 50 owners will get this update as a free update digitally, and then only if you want the physicals do you have to go for the others, or if it's going to be a separate SKU. Now, I hope it's the former, because that way Atari VCS owners will get the update and it'll be fine. But they didn't list Atari VCS, which is kind of an MO from Atari. They didn't list VCS as a platform that's going to get this update for this new Atari 50 thing. And it would be a shame to have one of the greatest collections of second generation game things ever, this virtual museum, not to be able to get an update on the system that represents the company that it's actually being celebrated. So like, it would be a little weird to have that not happen. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit rambly, but that's okay, because this is, of course, Retro Rich's random ramblings. If it weren't rambling, then why is this show existing, right? But getting back to this whole thesis, right? The indie console scene is pretty great. Like I said, it's not just Con and Meccan Games. It's Orange Pixel and everybody else on that side. Even on the Evercade, the fact that they celebrate in a monthly fashion specifically independent developers on those monthly drops to kind of advertise the fact that Indie Heroes, the next one, is coming out, like Indie Heroes 4 or 5, 6, 7, whatever. I don't think they're ever going to stop doing that. It's really awesome. And you know who it's really awesome for? Not just the players, it's awesome for those devs, because each one of those devs gets a spotlight. And whether or not the game is for you or not in those 30 days that you get to play it on the Evercade, it's just awesome that there's still yet another company doing things a different way, but showing that there's an important place for upstart developers, upstart programmers to kind of like get their stuff out in the forefront, because you never know whether or not that next game, that next indie game, if it becomes like a good, cool indie darling and stays in that lane, or does it become one of the greatest games to ever release on any console and winds up going on this wall for somebody else, right? So I have my favorites of all the consoles that I grew up around up on that wall, right? You see Lunar, you see Golden Axe Warrior, you see Berserk, you see Destiny, Uncharted, like you never know. One of those indie developers that's making an 8-bit game or a 16-bit game on the Evercade has a smash hit. They go on to make something else that maybe is on the modern consoles, and the next thing you know, they're on stage accepting Game of the Year award. You never know. But that's awesome, because at least this community embraces that, right? And that's the other cool thing. Everyone that I see that does any kind of feedback on my channel, on other channels like Ed's, the Evercade Effect, over on Pete's channel and the EverCanadian, Crow Continuum, tons of other channels, right? But I mean, obviously, I gotta give hat tips to my friends. But on those channels, there's so many people that offer opinions. But whenever they're talking about indie games, they always seem to have kind of the same energy as I do on this video here, and it's just something like, hey, you know what? This stuff is really cool. And it doesn't matter whether or not it's like this like the ultimate most perfect thing ever. It's just really cool, because in a way we're sharing the experience of playing it, and then like our opinions of it with somebody that is direct, right? When we're talking about somebody's game, I talk about, like, again, Meccan's Multiball or Doodle Taxi or Doodle World, for example, on the Evercade. I'm talking to somebody through the internet that is some 1 or 2 or 3 people on these dev teams, right? You know, and I think that's really awesome that the community is that small and insular. It's just cool. It's I mean, I guess a lot of times, you know, a lot of people talk about the indie development scene as kind of like the punk rock of game development. I kind of subscribe to that. But I think it's rad. I think it should never change. The indie development scene should absolutely never change. There should always be a place for people to just put out stuff and experiment and have fun and have misses, have missteps, have games that come out that may fall flat, and that's okay, because you know what? Even still, the same community that will embrace you on your highest heights will still go, hey, you know what? That was an okay game, but I don't know, maybe there was a miss here and there. And maybe that game gets improved and then becomes one of your favorites, right? That's the whole thing. That's the whole point. And I don't know. I just wanted to make a video and kind of celebrate that and just kind of like, I don't know, give the indie community a giant hug. I don't know. I'm just feeling pretty good today. And I just thought it was really awesome for Con to take the time and not only just share some stuff, but share meaningful things about the game that we were just talking about. And I think that in and of itself deserved its own hat tip. And I just wanted to wrap it up in a bow and talk a little bit and ramble a little bit about this topic. But anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments about this. You know, like, what do you think about the indie community? Do you think they rock as much as I do? Do you think that this community shouldn't change? Do you think that things like the VCS and Evercade and yes, even Amico and all that kind of stuff, should that indie stuff, that indie heart, should that still be beating in that way? Even the Ouya, I didn't even mention it, but let me just go back real quick. There, like I said, there's a Discord out there, right? I think the Discord is called Ouya Saviors. I don't know if I can find it on the internet. Well, just search it out. Search Ouya Saviors. There's a couple hundred people in that Discord, and they're still making games 2 times a year in game jams for this thing. It's like gone, dead, buried, goodbye. They're still making games for this stuff, and they're cool and they're fun, and they just do it for fun. They do it for the joy, the simple joy of putting bits together to have other people get smiles on their faces when hitting controllers. How cool is that? How cool is that? Anyway, I think I need to also look at that. And let me know down below if you got this far in the video and you're like, hey, you know what? Now that I know you have one of those Ouya things, one day, whatever, do some stuff and play some of those games on Ouya. And I will. I'll try to get as many of those APKs on this thing as possible. You know, and then try to, like, you know, I gotta shake the dust off of it first. But maybe we'll do that too. But I don't know. It's just like I said, I just had a little bit of a fun moment there, and you know, hopefully you guys too, and you guys enjoyed it, and we can all kind of like have a conversation and talk about things. So with all that being said, it is, of course, the end of a video here on Bacon Ice Cream Productions. So we got to do one thing, and one thing only. You know what it is. Let's thank every single member of the Good Times Club, which is another small, insular, awesome community that celebrates independent content creators like this face that's talking to you. And I just can't thank them enough for all of that. And I can't thank you guys enough too. The wanderers on the internet, all the regular subscribers, everybody, just thanks for hanging out and talking with me about these cool things, because you know what, it's just awesome, and I'm so glad to even just be a part of the community. So, but we have to thank the Good Times Club, because you know they give us cool things like 1080p StreamYard, awesome things for the Evercast. They help out Edge Channel with all his live streams. It's pretty cool. It's a great group. So it's the EverCanadian, Crimson Cross, George Games, Chris Westerman, Fanifiction, Skeletrex, Loader Gem, Papa Beat, the Intellivision Gamer, Ken LaCure, Mr. Shua, John Willig, Gunsy20, and Immortal Sojourn. They all rock, and you guys all rock when you're watching us here, having a good time. Leave likes, leave dislikes, leave all sorts of cool comments. Just cannot wait to talk to you about all this fun stuff. And of course, until next time, we'll catch you next time for some good times. I'm Rich, and we will see you later. Take it easy, guys.
www.baconicecream.com.